The most common question I get from my students is, what are the chess ratings? What do they mean? And what's the first chess rating I should aspire to? In other words, what's my first milestone in chess that I should be trying to achieve? And milestones are great, goals are great, and I have a simple answer for that, and I tell them it's 1,000. And in fact, most of my chess students, and I teach chess to people all over the world, most of my students are under 1,000, which tells me obviously that most players are under 1,000 in chess. So if you get over 1,000, you will be better than the overwhelming majority of people in the world that just play chess. Not tournament players necessarily, but people that play chess and know how to play the game. Okay, so how do we break 1,000? It's actually extremely simple. Okay, I actually have 3 simple steps to do to break 1,000. If you do other things right, of course, that'll help boost it. But I'm saying if you don't do anything else right, and you just do these 3 simple steps, you will break 1,000. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to use several games I just cherry-picked from my students. I'm not going to go over the whole games necessarily. I'm just going to pick crucial parts of the games to show examples of what I mean. Okay, to just give you basically evidence to back my theory here, right? So the first step is development. If you develop your pieces in the start of the game, which just basically means take all your pieces off the starting position and move them, and then castle. And of course, play in the center. You want to control the center, right? But it's development. Develop all your pieces and castle. So it's development. That's the most important thing. Do not move the same piece twice because that hurts your development. It takes away time you would be using, crucial time, that you could use to develop a new piece. And therefore, you can play chess with your entire army, which is how chess is supposed to be played. It's not supposed to be played, I develop 2 pieces and I start attacking you, and then I get checkmated, and I wonder why. Okay, the second step is every time your opponent makes a move, always look for your opponent's threat. And the third step, and wait for the end of the video, because the third step is the hardest to learn and to really build an intuition of, is do not step into threats. So basically, when you move, always ask yourself, how does this move that I'm making change the position? And that's harder because we're looking at something that's not on the board yet. And oftentimes, majority of times actually, that's the most crucial element, because after they do A and B right, they still struggle, players under 1,000, with self-destruction. In other words, they move into a blunder because the move wasn't on the board yet. The position wasn't on the board yet. They didn't have the foresight, even though it was one move away, to see how their move would create a blunder, okay? So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first position. Okay, playing against one of my students, actually a young, talented player. This was a couple months ago, and okay, he's gotten much better since, but we're just developing here. So far, so good. It's fine. My opponent makes another knight move. So he moved the same piece twice. Now here I can give him a little bit of a break because he wanted to get his bishop out. Okay, but I castle. Notice how I handle it. I don't move the bishop away. Bishop and knight are fairly equal. You'll hear that the bishop pair is better than the knight pair, or that, you want to preserve the bishops over knights. They're a little bit better. Okay, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Most important is development. So I'm not taking a time out to move this bishop. I'm just going to develop. I castle. My king is safer and my rook's ready to get into the game. That's much more important than anything. Okay, now he moves his bishop for a second time in a row. And that's a mistake. Now he moved his bishop for a second time in a row, so he wasted a move that he could have used to develop another one of his pieces. And not only that, but it brings my queen into the game. He helps me develop. And now my opponent walks into a blunder. This is checkmate. Queen f7 checkmate. The king's in the center. All his pieces are back here. Nothing's defending this. So you can see why. However, I didn't play that. I let my student play out a little bit, play the game on a little bit more so he can get some reps, and show him that I pointed out to him that I could checkmate him, but I wanted to show him how bad it is to not develop. So I throw in a check. He came here. I checked him here, and I said, well, look, now your king's on the run. And what do you do now? Okay, then we have a position like this, And my knight's ready to come in here. He should play c6 now, but it's too little too late. I mean, I'm just going to attack his queen, and he just gave up his queen, but he really didn't have any good move because his queen was guarding the bishop, which was mate. So you see the king's in the center. His pieces are not developed. This is a recipe for disaster. And an easy way to remedy this, just develop your pieces. Move each piece once off the starting position, castle, and do not move the same piece twice. It's as simple as that. As silly and as stupid as that sounds, it's as simple as that. Okay, let's go on to the next game. The next game is an example of why you have to always ask yourself, what's my opponent's threat after every move? In this position, I played knight to g5. Now my opponent played knight to g5. Now I played the Traxler variation, which is another day. This is a video for another day. I actually have a short on this. But anyway, it allows this. So I am allowing this. So I didn't miss this. I'm allowing this. He takes. So he's like, yes, I got the queen and I got the rook, which is actually a good move. However, I actually have a counter to it. So I play queen d4. It normally is a good move. In this position, it's not a good move. So now I'm threatening checkmate, but he was still tunnel vision. He was so focused on the fact that he had a fork between my queen and rook and said, well, he has to move his queen away. That's the bigger piece. And then when he does, I'm going to get his rook. He did not ask himself, after I moved my queen away, what's my opponent's threat? He just took it for granted that I played a defensive move and I moved my queen away so it didn't get taken, which I did move it away so it didn't get taken. But I also set up a threat, a huge threat, checkmate. But he said, nope, I got the rook. I'm the best player in the world. I'm beating my chess coach. I don't need lessons ever again. I'm going to be a grandmaster. And then I was like, I'm sorry. That's checkmate. So a lesson there is always ask yourself what's your opponent's threat. If he did in this position, he would have to play something like just rook f1 or queen e2 here. Actually, queen e2 is better because it defends the bishop. The bishop's also attacked. And that defends the bishop, defends the mate, and, you know, black has a better position here, but still, he's holding on. Okay, let's take another look at another game here. Okay, this is another example of development, okay? Why it's so important to develop, and what I mean by that is, again, I'm gonna beat the dead horse here. Just move every piece once off the starting position and do not move the same piece twice unless you absolutely must. Okay, develop, okay? I develop. He moved the same piece twice, but he had to. That's fine, because I was attacking his queen, so there he's fine. Okay, now he's got to watch out for this. Yeah, he moves his knight. I don't play this anymore because he has protection here. Plus, he can castle queenside and pin. But that, again, that's more than 1,000. That's like we're already past 1,000 by all those calculations. We don't even need to know all that stuff. Bishop e3, rook here. I go to attack the pawn on c7, which is check, and then wins the queen. He blocks it. Develop my queen. I castle queenside. He moves the same piece twice. No good. This is the start of the end. Okay, but it's still not over, but it's the slippery slope here. Okay, he moves a pawn. Again, we don't want to make too many pawn moves in the opening because it's similar to moving the same piece twice. It's taking time away from the time you could be spent on developing a new piece and castling, which is extremely important. It's like a race. You have to see the opening like a race. It's a race for development. Okay, so I make him make the same move again. He takes the knight. I improve my bishop a little bit. Now he moves the knight again. He moved a second piece twice. So that's not good. So I move it away, my queen away, because he was attacking my queen. Okay, I have to move my knight here because it's attacked. So I have to break my rule. Okay, I know when to break the rule. I have to there. Okay, he moves the knight again. I take with the pawn, even though it damages my structure. Again, I have to know the context of the position in chess. In this position, I'm trying to just switch gears. I'm trying to just create just an initiative, right? So I have an initiative here. I move out of the way. Okay. And the knight's in the center. I attack the knight. I put some more pressure on the knight, and his king's in the center. He didn't develop his bishop. He didn't castle. And this is going to spell doom for my opponent. I trade. His queen's in the center. I take here. And now he finally realizes it. He's like, my knight's pinned. My queen's in front of my king. My king's in the center. I got to get the heck out of here. I'm going to check, then castle. But he castled into what? A discovered attack. And his pawn on moving the f-pawn was not a good idea because it opened this diagonal. And now I have check, and that leads to checkmate. The check with the queen, so he can't take. He has to move away, and that's checkmate. So again, do not move the same piece twice. Okay. All right, here we're going to, we're going to start getting into, this is a little bonus. I'm not going to get too much into this, but we also, I should say, because we watch all these famous games of Paul Morphy and Magnus Carlsen, Bobby Fischer, we fall into the romanticism, so to speak, of sacrificing pieces. Like we're going to get more points in chess if we checkmate and we sacrifice a million pieces. Well, it is cool, I agree, but we have to put that on layaway for later on down the road when we get more skill. So sacrificing pieces requires very sharp calculation. So a lot of players will do stuff like this, like my student did. I'm threatening mate. What are you going to do? And you can't play this. Well, I can just take your bishop. So this is an example. I have many more. Do not sacrifice pieces. That's just a little bonus. But okay, let's get on with this game. Okay, so this game again. This is starting to get into the aspect of self-destruction in chess, and this is basically the third step. This is when you make a move. Look how that's going to change the position. Okay, and this is the hardest one to do. So my opponent did all this work, all these forcing moves to get my king up the board, which is actually fine. I'm actually, even though my king's in the center, I'm actually safe because I have a great pawn structure in front of my king. It's like a fortress. He comes here, check. He thinks he's attacking, and this is not even bad. This is fine, whatever. It's good. It's fine for both of us. But here, again, I'm blocking with the queen. So technically, I'm attacking his queen, and I'm attacking his bishop. So, right? I mean, it's a fork. It's not really a fork because it's his move, but how do you handle that? He should just take my queen and then move the bishop away to the center of the board. So that's where we move pieces away if we're going to move them away, right? But no, he took. Now he created this problem. This wasn't a problem. He's giving me a piece. So he did not see, okay, this position wasn't on the board. It was in his mind. So this is why it's the hardest step. But he walked into a blunder. He didn't really have a good ask himself what the position would look like after he played this move. And I have this tactic. You have to look at everything. So I take the bishop instead. If he takes the pawn, he loses the queen. So now he had to take the queen, and now he's just down a piece, and he has a losing position. Okay, now this is going to be a reoccurring theme from here on in. Okay, I play another student, and I attack his knight. Now, his knight could go back here and then set up this way, and then come in here or here. That's fine. That's an alternative. His knight could also come to d5. So if we're attacking something, if one of your pieces is attacked, you want to come towards the center, especially with the knight. The knight wants to come towards the center. Why? It covers more squares, and it can't be trapped. The knight almost never wants to go to the side of the board. It can easily be trapped. So what did he do? He came over here. He came forward, and now he has very few squares to go to. You can see he's got no squares to go to. All I got to do is attack him, and I win the piece. All right, that's what I do. I play h3, and I won his piece, and I went on to win the game. I have a winning position here. Okay, so this is going to be a reoccurring theme again and again and again. In this position, same player. I took his knight. Now he should just be coming back here. And this is as simple as this. You could just do this, implement this strategy, these steps, and become over 1,000. He came here. Knight h4. Now, I just obviously took the knight and I won a piece. But that's the thing. He didn't ask himself. After he said, oh, okay, I just move out of the way. But he didn't ask himself, when I'm here, what does that look like? Which one of my pieces, are any of my pieces aiming at that? Are any of my pieces looking at that square? What does that position look like after I come here? And really calculate, what does this position look like after I come here? Can I be attacked? Which is harder to see than this one move threat. Okay, if you're getting close to 1,000, you're probably seeing one move threats. This is not really a one move threat. This wasn't a threat. You created this, right? Even though it sounds silly because you created it, you made the blunder yourself. You gave me the piece basically. It's actually harder to see because this position was in his mind. Okay, it wasn't on the board yet. Okay, so let's go to here. Our opponent played e5. And here, this is actually a mistake in the Sicilian because the king's open, this is undefended, and the queen can come here and just pick up the pawn. But that's not what I'm talking about. So that's part of it. So he did self-destruct there. He did make that move, but it's hard to see that, right? He made a move. That position wasn't on the board yet. It was in his mind. It's hard to see that two-step process if you're under 1,000, even if you're over 1,000, right? But, okay, now he has to ask himself, what's my opponent's threat? How do I stop it? And he didn't. He should have just came back here. That's one way to handle it. It's not the best, actually. But the best is you have to ask yourself, how do I defend the knight? What's happening here? I'm threatening his knight. That's what's happening. And how do I defend it? And how do I defend it the best way? And now we're kind of getting more into the 1200 stage, too, because now we're tree branching. What's the best way for my position to defend it? But before that, your knight's attacked. So make sure that doesn't get taken. Even if you played this, it's not going to, you at least you didn't lose a piece. But here he technically should play bishop e3 because it improves his bishop, protects his knight, and it does not block in this bishop. So that's my advice for you guys. And as always, thanks for stopping by. If you like my content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so I know you like my content and I can put out more videos like this. And also leave in the comment section below if you really enjoyed this video, so I definitely know to put out more content like this. I plan to do how to get to 1,500, 1,800, 2,000, etc., and move up all the rating, all the way up the rating ladder. So thanks for stopping by, guys. See you later.